Everyone told me to give up, to let her go. I didn't listen. I searched for years, and when I finally found her, I wished I hadn't, because some reunions are worse than funerals.
Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day.
My perfect teenage daughter ran away from home, and what I discovered years later still keeps me up at night. Back when Lynn was little, she was the shy, innocent girl, the type to hide behind my leg if a boy even waved at her. She'd blush just watching a cartoon kiss. But when she hit freshman year of high school, something shifted. Slowly at first, then all at once. She started wearing heavy makeup, dressing in less and less, and when I gently asked her about it, she'd snap back with, asterisk, it's my body, mom. I can do what I want. Asterisk, or, my personal favorite, asterisk, everyone else is doing it. Asterisk. And listen, I'm not the strictest parent. I always believed in giving kids space, letting them figure themselves out. So part of me thought, maybe it's just a phase. But watching my sweet girl push herself into this version of grown-up that she thought she needed to be, it broke my heart. And things only got worse. What started as debates turned into full-blown shouting matches. She started bringing guys home. Some of them looked way too old to even look at her, let alone be hanging around my house. Then came the day I snapped. She was at school, and I went into her room looking for something I knew she'd taken. While rummaging through her nightstand, I found it. A tiny white baggie tucked behind her lamp. My stomach dropped. I'd been to college. I knew exactly what that meant. When she came home, I confronted her. It was explosive. Screaming, accusations, tears. It was one of the worst fights we'd ever had. And the next morning, when I went to check on her, her room was empty. 2 of my suitcases were gone. Lynn was gone. I called the police immediately. I searched every street in our neighborhood, driving for hours, screaming her name out the window like maybe she'd just come back. But nothing. The police found nothing. My baby was gone. For years. For years of silence. And then one day, one of her friend's moms sent me an Instagram post. It was a news clip. First, I didn't get it. Why would Lynn be on the news? Then I saw the headline. Asterisk sex workers uproar in South LA. Asterisk. My knees almost gave out. I replayed the video over and over. It was her. My Lynn. But she looked strung out, lost. Nothing like the bright-eyed girl I'd raised. Tears just streamed down my face. She was in Los Angeles. I was in Texas. And for the first time, I realized just how far gone things had spiraled. I booked a flight the next day. For weeks, I drove through the south side of LA, street by street, block by block. I'd roll slow through rundown neighborhoods, scanning every face, praying. I didn't even bother with the police. I'd lost faith in them years ago. And then, it happened. One day, on a nearly deserted street, I saw her. The shape of her face, the way she moved, I knew instantly. I pulled over, rolled down the window, and yelled, asterisk, Lynn, asterisk. She turned. It was her, my beautiful girl. I jumped out of the car and ran toward her. And she ran right into my arms, sobbing, asterisk, mom, mom, asterisk. We clung to each other like our lives depended on it, both of us shaking and crying. For a moment I thought, this is it. I've got her back. We sat in my car for what felt like forever, just holding on. Eventually, I took her to get food, thinking we could finally talk. But the whole time, she just stared off with this empty, haunted look. It wasn't my Lynn sitting across from me. It was someone broken, someone hurting. Near the end of dinner, she finally spoke. But not the words I wanted. When I asked if she'd come home with me, she whispered, asterisk, I can't. They'll hurt me if I leave. Asterisk. My blood ran cold. I begged. I told her we could go to the police, that I'd protect her. But she shook her head, eyes darting around like someone was watching us. She said they'd already warned her. She hugged me, tighter than ever before, and whispered, asterisk, I'm sorry. I love you, mom. Asterisk. Then she ran. I chased after her, but she was gone. Just like that. Gone again. I can't even explain the feeling. Like my soul was ripped out of me. I sat in that car, shaking, drowning in guilt. I had her right there, in my arms, and still couldn't save her. I didn't go back to Texas. How could I? How do you walk into your home and look at your daughter's empty room knowing you had her and lost her again? Instead, I stayed. Cheap motels, drifting through the city with stacks of flyers, asking anyone who would listen if they'd seen her. Days bled into weeks. I plastered Lynn's face on bus stops, laundromats, telephone poles. I walked into soup kitchens and drop-in shelters, begging for scraps of information. Some people avoided me like grief was contagious. Others whispered a prayer under their breath. One teenage girl, maybe 16, looked at Lynn's flyer for a long time before muttering, asterisk, she don't run with us. Asterisk. But I caught the way her mouth twisted when she said it. She kept the flyer. That gave me a flicker of hope. I started recognizing faces on my routes, the security guard at 7-Eleven, the old woman with a shopping cart by the freeway. It was a strange kind of comfort, knowing I wasn't completely invisible. But every morning, no matter how broken I felt, I forced myself up and out, because as long as I kept searching, Lynn was still out there, still possible, still mine. I put off calling home for as long as I could. Pretending Texas didn't exist was easier. No house, no sun, no stack of bills waiting in the mailbox. As long as I kept moving through the streets of Los Angeles, I could trick myself into believing I was still doing my job as a mother, still fighting for Lynn. But guilt doesn't stay quiet forever. It built up in my chest so heavy I could hardly breathe. So one night, standing in the harsh fluorescent light of a gas station, I bought a cheap calling card. My cell was on its last bar of life again, and the last time I tried to call long distance, it cut out halfway through my son's sentence. This time, I wanted no excuses. The phone rang 3 times. Then a voice I hadn't heard in weeks answered. Deeper now, older, hardened. Deborah, he said. Not Mom. Just my name. Felt like someone had thrown a brick into my chest. Hi, honey. I forced a brightness I didn't feel. I just wanted to check in. Silence. Then, are you still in California? I nodded stupidly, then remembered he couldn't see me. Yes, I'm still looking. Another pause. Longer this time. His voice sharpened. It's been almost 2 months. Grandma's worried. Dad called. He said if you don't check in with work, you're going to lose your job. I tried to keep my voice even. Joshua, I have to find her. I can't just leave. His words cracked like glass. You left us. You left me. That one cut straight through me, deeper than any insult. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I need to keep trying. She's out there. I know she is. There was a soft shift in his voice then, just for a second. I saw her room today. Still smells like her. Sometimes I go in there and I just wish you'd come home, Mom. Even if you can't bring her with you. My throat tightened so hard I could barely whisper. I can't yet, but I promise. I'm not giving up. Not on you. Not on her. He let out a breath, heavy enough to carry the whole weight of a boy forced to grow up too fast. Just call us. Okay? Grandma says she prays for you both every night. Even Dad does. We said goodbye. Neither of us managed and I love you. I hung up and lay staring at the motel ceiling, fighting tears. I felt like a ghost, haunting 2 worlds but belonging to neither. And still, couldn't stop. If I did, Lynn's face would fade from these streets, and I wasn't ready to let her become just another lost girl. It was at a makeshift soup kitchen, just a folding table set up in a crumbling church lot, that I met Linda. She looked just as out of place as I did. Jeans too clean, hair pulled back tight, clutching flyers with shaking hands. The volunteers must have seen the grief written all over us because they poured our coffee extra hot. Maybe out of pity. We stood off to the side, 2 strangers surrounded by hunger and hurt. She glanced at my stack of flyers. Yours missing too? I held up Lynn's picture. For years now. I saw her a few days ago, but she ran. Linda gave me a tired smile and lifted her own flyer. A boy's face stared back at me. My son, Toby, left last year. Haven't seen him since Easter. For the first time, I was talking to someone who understood. With Linda, I didn't need to explain why my hands trembled or why I scanned every teenage face that passed by. She told me about calling hospitals, pestering police, even sleeping in her car outside shelters. I've started memorizing the intake schedules, she confessed, rubbing her eyes. They're always full. They never know anything. We spent that afternoon walking the streets together, handing out flyers, swapping stories. She told me about her quiet house in Bakersfield, her angry ex-husband, the birthdays that passed with empty chairs. I told her about Joshua, about the guilt that swallowed me whole every time I called home, about how even my own mother had stopped asking when I'd be back. It was easier walking beside her. We looked out for each other. At one point, when a fight broke out down the block, Linda grabbed my hand and we ducked into a doorway, laughing breathlessly once it was over. For a second, it almost felt like we were just 2 moms on an odd errand, not 2 women dragging our grief down the streets of LA. That night, we ate greasy tacos in her car, talking about the lives we used to have. Linda admitted she writes letters to Toby, seals them up and keeps them in her glove box, just in case. I confessed I'd started doing the same for Lynn. We swapped addresses, promised to call if either of us got news. Maybe our kids ran off together? Linda joked, forcing a smile that nearly shattered me. Before we parted ways, she pressed her hand over mine. Don't give up, Deborah. Even if you feel like you already have. I promised her I wouldn't. And for the first time in weeks, I almost believed myself. But nights in LA were dangerous. Too much space for memory. Lying on brittle motel sheets, sirens and distant arguments drifting through thin windows, my mind always ran backward. I remembered the day I told Lynn about the divorce. She was 11, sitting on the swing in our Tucson backyard, the Arizona sun blazing white through her hair. I'd rehearsed the words, but they still fell clumsy. Asterisk your dad and I can't live together anymore. But we both love you. That doesn't change. Asterisk. She gripped the chains tighter, eyes straight ahead. I know what it means, she whispered. It means Dad doesn't love you anymore. The truth sliced cleaner than anything I could have said back. Kids see through lies sharper than any adult ever could. The move to Oregon was supposed to fix everything. For girls and a weary mother in a station wagon, heading north with our whole lives crammed into boxes. I tried to make it fun, singing road trip songs, picnic lunches along the way, but grief sat in the car with us. The girls bickered more than they laughed. Lynn grew sharper, quieter, always watching me like she was waiting for me to vanish too. By the time she hit high school, I was already losing her. New hair, new friends, late nights with flimsy excuses. I didn't challenge her enough. I told myself it was normal, that she was just finding herself. But every slammed door felt like a crack splintering deeper into our family. Some nights, after the younger girls fell asleep, I'd stand in the hallway just listening. Listening for Lynn's breathing, proof that she was still there, still safe. I made mistakes, I see that now. I let my temper flare when I should have been patient. I treated her like a child when she'd already outgrown it. And every harsh word, every moment I chose work or exhaustion over listening. It haunts me. Regret is the language I speak best these days. Here in the city where she disappeared, the past clings to me like smoke. I replay our old arguments. The moments I looked right at my daughter and didn't see what she needed. Maybe if I'd loved her differently, paid closer attention, maybe she'd be safe in a warm bed instead of lost out here in the dark. But I can't rewrite the past. All I can do is keep walking, keep searching, keep hoping. Hoping it's not too late to find her. And hoping that somewhere, somehow, forgiveness is still possible for Lynn. And for me. I used to believe in the system. Maybe not with blind faith, but enough to think. If something truly awful happened, there'd always be someone in a uniform ready to help. But Los Angeles broke that belief fast. The first time I walked into a police station, I wore my cleanest shirt, tried to keep my voice steady, tried to look like the kind of mother worth listening to. I sat on a cracked plastic chair for over an hour under buzzing fluorescent lights. The air smelled like sweat, burnt coffee, and people who'd already given up. When it was finally my turn, the officer barely looked at me. "Runaway?" he asked flatly, scribbling without meeting my eyes. "My daughter," I said. My throat was raw from holding back tears. "She's been gone for years, but I saw her. I know she's here. She's in trouble." "How old is she now?" he asked, flipping through some battered folder. "She just turned." That look, that cold, dismissive look, worse than a slap. "That makes her an adult." He cut me off. "She can make her own decisions, ma'am." I tried to push back, my voice cracking with panic. "She's not safe. She's being used. I know she is. Please, unless she's a danger to herself or someone else, there's not much we can do." He shoved a pamphlet across the counter. Missing persons hotline. That was it. The shelters weren't much better. Forms, waiting lists, curfews, proof of residence for kids who didn't even have homes. One social worker with kind eyes tried to soften the blow. "We're full every night," she said gently. "But if she checks in, we'll call you." I could tell by her tone she didn't expect it to happen. Sometimes I showed up with Lynn's photo, only to get blank stares, like I was begging for miracles nobody had left to spare. Other times, someone thought they recognized her. But it was always another girl. Another maybe. Another false hope gnawing at me until I could hardly stand it. Once, I even sat through a support group for parents of missing kids. We were supposed to share, but I couldn't. I just listened. Voices breaking, some clinging to hope like it was air, others hollow, already grieving. I stared at the clock, thinking of the hours slipping away while I waited for someone else to find my child. Some nights I called hotline numbers just to hear a stranger's voice, to feel less alone. Most times I hung up before anyone answered. Eventually I started to wonder, maybe the world was built to break mothers like me. Maybe every slammed door, every blank face, was meant to grind me down until I stopped asking. But I didn't stop. Every rejection just lit the fire hotter. If the system wouldn't save Lynn, I would. Somehow. It was a Tuesday when the call came. I was sitting in a donut shop, staring at the last cold sips of coffee in my cup, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. For 1 second I thought, it's her. Lynn. It wasn't. "Deborah? This is Eddie. Outreach worker. I think we got something. One of our girls swears she saw someone matching your daughter's description. Near the bus depot on 6th. Blue jacket. Long hair. Said she looked sick. With a group. If you hurry, you might catch her." Hope struck me like lightning. I left a crumpled dollar on the counter and ran. My heart hammered so hard it hurt. My hands shook so badly I dropped my keys twice. As I sped through the streets, the city blurred into streaks of gray and sun. I prayed out loud. Asterisk, please let it be her. Please let me be fast enough. Asterisk. The depot was chaos. Security guards, pigeons, endless lines of tired faces. I shoved through the crowd. Lynn's photo clutched in the air. "Did you see a girl in a blue jacket? Long brown hair? Please, she's sick. She needs help." A young man pointed toward a row of benches. "She was here 5 minutes ago. Left with some others. Down that alley." I ran. My lungs burned, the stink of urine and trash choking me as I pounded down the narrow passage. And then I saw her. A girl in a blue jacket. Head down. Surrounded by 3 others. Her walk was off, dragging like her body weighed too much. "Lynn!" I screamed, my voice ripping apart in my throat. She looked up. For a heartbeat. God. I swore it was her. Those same haunted eyes, that same tired slouch. But when I got closer, the girl flinched, shrinking away. It wasn't Lynn. Just another lost child carrying the same pain. One of the others stepped forward, glaring at me. Get out of here, lady. These streets eat people like you. The words cut deep. I stumbled back, humiliation twisting with heartbreak until I could barely breathe. I just stood there, dizzy, the city spinning around me like I didn't belong in it. That fragile bubble of hope I'd been clinging to dissolved into ash. By the time I reached my car, the sun was already sliding low. I collapsed behind the wheel, clutching Lynn's photo against my chest. Tears blurred everything. I'm still here, I whispered into the quiet. I'll keep looking, I promise. But the words felt thin, like breath on glass, there one second, gone the next. The streets changed after dark. Even the shadows felt hungrier. Couldn't sleep, though. Each night I convinced myself. Asterisk the next hour, the next corner, that'll be the one. Asterisk. Recklessness replaced reason. Sometimes I'd park and wander alleys alone, pepper spray clutched in my palm. I told myself I was being brave. But the truth? It was desperation. One night, taping a flyer to a lamppost behind boarded-up shops, I heard quick footsteps behind me. Too close. I spun. A young man, maybe 20, eyes darting, breath rough. What are you doing out here? He demanded. My voice wavered. Looking for someone. My daughter. She's missing. His eyes flicked to the flyer, then back to me. You got any money? I shook my head. He stepped closer anyway, grabbing my arm so hard I stumbled. Before I could scream, a second figure appeared. A woman, face half hidden by a dirty scarf. She barked something in a language I didn't recognize. The man spat at the ground, shoved me away. You're lucky, he muttered, disappearing into the dark. I stood shaking, stunned. The woman's eyes narrowed on me. Stupid to walk alone, she said softly. This place, it'll eat you. Go home. I can't, I whispered. Not without her. Something flickered in her eyes. Understanding, maybe. She pressed something into my hand. A small flashlight. Cheap but solid. Next time, she said. Keep your eyes open. Watch the shadows. Then she was gone. I sat down on the curb, clutching Lynn's photo until it wrinkled. My whole body shaking. I wanted to quit. To call Joshua. Beg him to come get me. But pride wouldn't let me. I forced myself up. Still alive. Still searching. But for the first time I realized I was breaking. I was so close to losing myself as well as Lynn. That night, back at the motel, I locked the door, curled up in my clothes, flashlight clutched tight. I dreamt of home, of Lynn as a little girl, curled against me in bed, safe. The ringing phone yanked me awake at dawn. I scrambled to answer. This is County General, a woman's voice said, brisk but hurried. We have a Jane Doe who matches the description from a flyer. We need you to confirm. My heart almost stopped. Is she okay? She's alive. In rough shape. Please come soon. I was out the door in minutes. The rain-washed streets glistening silver. I prayed out loud the whole drive. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fear. A nurse led me down a long hallway, stopping at a curtained bed. Prepare yourself, she warned. She's been through a lot. I took a breath and stepped inside. On the bed lay a girl. Thin, bruised, oxygen tubing looped under her nose. So small, so broken. Lynn, I whispered, inching closer. The girl turned her head. Blank eyes stared up at me. Not Lynn. My knees nearly gave out. I gripped the bed rail to stay upright. I'm sorry, I whispered. I thought you were my daughter. Her lips trembled. My mom doesn't know where I am, either. The weight of that broke me. I held her hand anyway, because what else could I give? Back in the hall, the nurse spoke gently. You're not the first. Sometimes I think every mother in LA is searching for someone. I left numb, hollow. The rising sun spilled gold over cracked sidewalks, but I couldn't feel it. All I could do was keep moving, one foot in front of the other, praying that the next call would be Lynn. And that next time it wouldn't be too late. When the streets grew too loud and the weight of the city pressed too heavy, I wrote letters to Lynn. Not emails, not texts, real letters, scribbled on motel stationery, the backs of diner receipts, scraps of whatever I could find. I never mailed them. They weren't meant to be sent. They were the only way I knew to still talk to her. The first one came after that hospital visit, when my heart nearly gave out mistaking another girl for my daughter. I sat hunched over a wobbly motel desk, the window leaking the city's endless noise into the room, and I wrote, Dear Lynn, I saw a girl in the hospital today. For a moment, I thought she was you. I wanted it so badly, I almost believed it. But it wasn't. I'm still here. I'm still searching. I'll always be searching. I wrote about Texas, about how Joshua's voice is deeper now, sharp around the edges. How Grandma still asks about her every Sunday after church. How Lynn's room smells more like dust than her shampoo. I wrote down the little things I remembered, the way she hated ketchup on fries, how she used to sneak cookies to her baby sister, how she hummed herself to sleep when she thought nobody was listening. Sometimes the letters were apologies. I'm sorry for every time I yelled. For every time I let fear turn to anger. I wish I had listened more. I wish I told you that you were enough. Because you are Lynn. No matter where you've been or what you've done. I just want you home. Other nights, the letters came out angry, my pen scratching hard into the paper. Asterisk, why did you run? Didn't you know I'd follow you anywhere? Didn't you care that I'd burn my whole life down just to hold you again? Asterisk. But mostly, they were love letters. A mother's promise written in ink that stains your fingers and doesn't wash off. I tucked each one under my pillow, as if words could fill the space where she should have been. I told myself, someday, if I'm lucky, I'll put these letters into her hands. She'll know I never stopped. She'll forgive me. Maybe I'll even forgive myself. Until then, the letters piled higher. Silent witnesses to my grief, my hope, my love. And as long as I kept writing, Lynn was still out there. Still possible. Sometimes, late at night, I'd scroll through old photos, birthday candles, Joshua in his little league cap, the whole family crammed onto the couch. Felt like looking at ghosts. Another life. Another me. Every few weeks, I forced myself to call home. Joshua always picked up, his voice tired, like he'd aged years without me. Mom. Hi, honey. Did I wake you? It's fine. Flat. Resigned. How's school? The words felt ridiculous, but it was all I had. It's okay. Grandma still makes meatloaf Sundays. She leaves a plate for you, like you'll just walk in the door. That image stabbed me. The chipped kitchen tile, fork scraping plate, waiting for a knock that never came. Tell her I miss her. I miss you both. You could just come home, he said quietly. I bit down hard on my lip. Not yet, sweetheart. I have to find her. I know. His voice cracked, weary. But I need you too, Mom. It's like I lost both of you. I wanted to explain, to make him understand why I couldn't leave LA, why every bone in my body screamed I had to keep searching. But guilt pressed down so hard I could barely breathe. I'm sorry, Joshua. I'll call again soon. Okay. And that was it. We hung up. Nothing fixed, nothing healed. Just another night staring at the motel ceiling, wondering if they told neighbors I'd gone crazy, wondering if they blamed me for it all. Sometimes, I pulled out my stack of letters and pressed them flat beneath my hand, aching to write one to Joshua too, to tell him what it means to love two children so fiercely and still feel like you're failing both. Then came the morning fog, heavy and muffled. When I saw Linda again, we fell into step in the soup kitchen line, our shoulders hunched against the damp. I knew something was wrong before she even opened her mouth. They found Toby, she whispered, voice empty. My stomach dropped. Where? A drainage canal out by Alhambra. Weeks, they think. Alone. There was nothing to say. I took her hand, and for a long time, all I heard was her ragged breathing against the noise of the line. I thought I'd feel relief, she said finally. But it's just empty. Like I'll shatter if I move. I'm so sorry, Linda. I'm so sorry. She gave a bitter little laugh. At least I can stop searching now. At least I can sleep. Even if I don't want to dream. We sat side by side on the curb, sipping thin soup and sharing a silence carved by grief. She told me about Toby, how he loved old monster movies, how he hated peas, how he'd fall asleep on her shoulder during car rides. Things that meant nothing to the world, but everything to her. When we parted, she gripped my arms, her eyes fierce through the tears. Don't stop looking, Deborah. Even if it kills you, I'd do it all again for one more minute with him. I watched her fade into the fog, shoulders curved, swallowed by the city. Her words lodged in me like broken glass. That night, I wrote another letter. Asterisk, Dear Lynn. Today I learned what it means to lose hope completely. If I could, I'd put you in a bubble safe from every danger, every mistake. But I can't. All I can do is love you, search for you, no matter how far you've gone, even if you never come back. Asterisk. I tucked it under my pillow and lay awake, Linda's grief a shadow pressing on me, praying my story wouldn't end the same. And then Thursday came, 6 months to the day since I'd first seen Lynn on the street. The city was blistering with heat, the kind that makes the asphalt shimmer, and I was down to my very last flyer, edges ragged from too many hands. The call came from Eddie just after noon. Deborah, he said, I think you need to come to St. Cecilia's shelter. There's a girl here asking for you. My heart nearly stopped. Is it her? He hesitated. You should come. I drove like a woman possessed, ignoring red lights, horns blaring behind me. My hands clenched so hard around the wheel they cramped. Outside the shelter, the sun glared off broken windows. My legs shook as I pushed the door open. The lobby smelled of sweat and stale coffee, full of tired bodies. And at the far end, huddled on a plastic chair, was a girl with hair hanging limp over her face. A blue jacket swallowed her frame. Lynn. My voice was barely a whisper. She looked up. Time collapsed. Her eyes were hollow, her face bruised and thin. But it was her. My Lynn. My baby girl. She stood, shaky, hesitant. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then she stumbled forward, collapsing into my arms, and I caught her, holding on like I could keep her from slipping through my fingers again. We both cried, soundless and desperate, as I rocked her like I had when she was small. Her body was frail, her breath shallow, her hands ice against my skin. I whispered her name over and over. Asterisk Lynn. My Lynn. Asterisk. Finally, she pulled back, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Her voice was raw. I didn't know where else to go, Mom. Gratitude and grief collided in me. You did the right thing. You're safe now. Eddie appeared in the doorway, giving us a quiet nod. You've got a room for the night. Nurse will check her out. When we were alone again, I took her hands in mine, memorizing every scar, every fragile line. We'll get through this, I whispered. We'll find a way. She only nodded, her eyes drifting to the window, already far away. That night, I lay on a cot beside her, holding her hand as she shivered in her sleep. I counted every rise and fall of her chest, terrified it might stop, refusing to let go. For the first time in months, hope and fear sat side by side in my heart. I had my daughter back. Fragile, broken, but here, and I would do anything. Anything, to keep her safe. The nurse checked Lynn's vitals and left us in that small, buzzing room with the flicker of fluorescent lights overhead. Outside, Los Angeles roared, but in that moment the world shrank down to just her and me. I poured water into a paper cup and handed it to her. Her hands shook so hard she spilled some, but she managed to sip. I couldn't stop staring. Hollow cheeks, cracked lips, new scars etched into her wrists and arms. And those eyes, harder now, older than her years, but still my little girl's eyes. For a long while, silence pressed between us. Finally, she whispered, I'm sorry, Mom. The words caught in my throat. You don't have to say that. You don't. I do. Her voice rasped, broken. I'm sorry for running, for everything. I didn't know what else to do. I thought if I left, maybe it'd get better. Or maybe, I just wanted to disappear. I reached for her hand, but she flinched, so I stopped, resting mine close on the blanket instead. I made mistakes too, Lynn. I should have listened. I should have tried harder to understand. Her eyes welled up. It wasn't you, Mom. Not really. I was just lost. After the divorce, I felt like I didn't matter anymore. Like no one even saw me. Out there, they saw me or pretended to. She looked away, jaw clenched. But it's not family. It's a prison. I tried to leave, but there's always someone watching. Always someone ready to drag you back. The drugs make it bearable, but only for a little while. My chest cracked open. Let me help, please. We can go home or anywhere you want. You don't have to be alone in this. She shook her head, wiping her face with the sleeve of that too big jacket. I can't. If I leave now, they'll find me. They'll hurt you. A helpless rage burned through me. You're my daughter. I'd do anything for you. You don't understand. Her voice trembled. There's no way out. Not really. You can't save me. Nobody can. I wanted to argue, promise her the impossible, but her eyes, they were already carrying too much defeat. So instead, I whispered, I love you. I always have. I always will. Nothing changes that. For the first time, a faint smile ghosted across her lips. I know, Mom. I love you too. I never stopped. We sat in silence then, broken, but still bound together by something stronger than pain. Outside, a siren wailed, cold and distant. That night, after she drifted to sleep, I pulled out another scrap of paper and wrote, Dear Lynn, tonight I saw you as you are. Scared, strong, wounded, and still my little girl. If I could carry your pain, I would. If I could build a world where nothing could touch you, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't know how to fix this, but I'll never stop trying. I folded the letter and tucked it with the rest beneath my pillow, then lay awake, listening to her fragile breathing, clinging to every second. By morning, she was worse. Her hands shook so badly she could barely manage a bite of toast. The shelter gave us 2 nights. After that, she'd have to move on. I begged her to check into a rehab, a hospital, anywhere safe. Please, Lynn, we can go wherever you want. Just let me get you help. She only shook her head, eyes dull. It won't work, Mom. They know where I am. If I leave with you, they'll come after us. They'll hurt you to get to me. I tried everything. Called every number the nurse gave me. Detox centers, shelters, halfway houses. Every place was full. Or they had wait lists. Or they didn't take girls with warrants. One place offered a bed 2 hours north, but only if she showed up sober. I looked at her pale, sweating, jittery body and knew it was impossible. Maybe you could just come home to Texas, I whispered, voice breaking. We could start over. Just for a while. Her smile was soft, heartbreaking. I wish I could, Mom. I really do. But I'm so tired. I just want to sleep. That night, I jammed a chair under the doorknob of our shelter room. I dozed on the cot, one hand resting on her blanket, jolting awake at every creak in the hallway, terrified someone would come and take her. At dawn, I found her hunched over the sink in the bathroom, shivering. I don't feel good, she whispered. Everything hurts. I wrapped her in a blanket, my arms trembling as I held her. We caught a ride in a donated van to a clinic. The nurse took her vitals, rattled off medical terms I couldn't follow. They let us stay for the day, but no beds left for the night. So Lynn rested her head on my lap in that crowded lobby, surrounded by coughing, crying strangers. I stroked her tangled hair, humming the same lullaby I'd sung when she was little. Her eyelids fluttered, her breath uneven. Please let this save her, I prayed. Please let this be enough. But by nightfall there was nowhere left. No beds, no shelters, no doors open to us. Just the streets again, shadows closing in. We ended up on a bench in MacArthur Park, tucked in the dark away from the lights. Lynn leaned against me, her head heavy on my shoulder. I wrapped the blanket tight, as if I could warm her bones with my own body. We whispered softly, like speaking too loud might shatter what peace we had left. She told me about the girls she'd met. Some still alive, some gone, all of them searching for something they never found. Then she asked about home, about Joshua, about her sisters, about the little things. Did the orange cat still sleep on the porch? Did her room still smell like vanilla lotion? I painted pictures for her. Texas sunsets, Sunday dinners, the porch cat dozing in the sun. I told her Joshua still left her favorite cereal on the shelf, just in case. After a long silence, she whispered, "I'm sorry I hurt you, Mom. I'm sorry I couldn't be better." I hugged her gently, afraid she'd break. "You don't have to be better. You just have to be here." She smiled, faint but real. "I'm so tired, Mom. I don't know if I can keep doing this." My heart shattered, but I nodded. "Whatever you need, I'm here. I'll stay as long as you want." We watched the city lights flicker in the distance. Music and laughter drifted from somewhere else. Life going on like the world hadn't fallen apart. She laid her head in my lap, and I stroked her hair, humming that lullaby again. I wished I could freeze time, hold her safe there forever. Before dawn, she stirred, her eyes blurry, her voice small. "I love you, Mom. Don't forget. Okay?" I kissed her forehead, tears slipping hot down my face. "I'll never forget. I love you more than anything." The sun rose over the city, painting the sky in bruised orange and gold. She squeezed my hand once, weakly, then closed her eyes. I sat there counting each rise and fall of her chest, holding on like my love alone could keep her alive. I didn't know it then, but that was our goodbye. The days after that last night blurred together. Lynn slipped away from the shelter as quietly as she had come, leaving nothing behind but the imprint on her pillow. I spent 2 days scouring every place I could think of. The parks, the soup kitchens, the bus stations, repeating the same desperate question. Asterisk, have you seen her? Asterisk, every answer was the same. Blank stares, shaking heads, people looking away. On the third morning, the motel phone rang. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. I grabbed it on the second ring, my heart pounding. "Is this Deborah?" The voice was brittle, rehearsed in sorrow. "Yes. This is Officer Marquez with the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm so sorry, ma'am. We found a young woman last night. She matched your daughter's description. There was an overdose. She didn't make it." The words gutted me. The room tilted, the walls pressing in. My grip on the phone was so tight I thought it would shatter. "No," my voice came out in a rasp. "No, you're wrong. She just called. I'm sorry," the officer said softly. "We'll need you to come down to identify her." I don't remember hanging up. My body moved without me. Stumbling to the bathroom, splashing water on my face like I could wake myself from this nightmare. The mirror showed a stranger, a woman hollowed out by grief. Back on the bed, I clutched the last letter I'd written to Lynn, the ink still blurred by old tears. I read it again and again, as if words could reverse time, as if love could bring her back. What followed was a blur, signing forms with trembling hands, identifying the small, lifeless body that used to be my child, calling Joshua, calling my mother. Hearing their sobs echo through the line, there was nothing left to do but survive the moment. And somehow the world kept spinning. Cars honked. The sun rose, the sun set. People went to work, bought groceries, laughed with their children. But my world had ended in that sterile hospital room. Her last words haunted me. Asterisk, I love you, Mom. Don't forget, okay? Asterisk, I never would. I never could. But how do you live in a world without your child? The flight home was a haze. I carried only a battered backpack, numb to everything around me. In Texas, Joshua met me at the airport. His face was older, harder. He didn't say a word, just pulled me into a hug so fierce it hurt. And for the first time since Lynn died, I let myself cry. The days before the funeral drifted past in fog. My mother made the calls. Joshua helped pick out a simple dress. Neighbors delivered casseroles we never touched. I wandered through the house like a ghost. Lynn's room sat frozen in time, her pillow faintly scented with vanilla lotion. I sat on her bed surrounded by trophies, sketches, a half-filled journal. All the pieces of the girl I had lost. The funeral was a blur of faces. Teachers, neighbors, women from church, old friends who hadn't spoken to us in years. Some came out of love, others out of pity. But all came to say goodbye. The pastor's voice carried softly over the congregation. Psalms read like a bomb against the storm of grief. My mother wept openly. Joshua stood stiff beside me, his jaw locked. I felt like I was floating outside my own body, tethered only by the plain wooden casket at the front. People stood to speak. Memories spilled out. Her smile, her stubborn streak, her kindness, stories I had forgotten. Lynn volunteering at the animal shelter, protecting her sisters, singing in the choir before everything unraveled. When it was my turn, my hands shook as I unfolded the paper. My words were simple. Asterisk, my daughter was not just her choices. She was light in our lives. She made mistakes, yes. She got lost. But she loved fiercely, and she was loved just as fiercely in return. I will never stop loving her. She was mine, even when she ran, even when she broke my heart. I would do it all again for one more chance to hold her. Asterisk. After the service, we gathered at the cemetery. The air was heavy with the scent of wildflowers. As they lowered her casket, I slipped one of my unsent letters beneath the folds of her dress. "Goodbye, sweetheart," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I will always love you, always." As the earth closed over her, I realized I would never have the answers. Never know the exact moment hope had died. Never untangle the line between my failures and my best attempts. Grief doesn't end, it shifts shape. It follows you into your kitchen, into your dreams, into every silence. But standing there, surrounded by people who loved her, I felt something else too. Gratitude, fragile but real. Gratitude for every laugh, every hug, every memory that could never be taken. Couldn't save Lynn, but I could carry her with me, always. A week later, while sorting through her room, I found an envelope tucked in the back of her dresser. The handwriting was hers, slanted, looping, her eyes dotted with tiny circles. On the front, for Mom. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were 3 letters. The first, dated a few months after she ran. Asterisk, "Dear Mom, I know you're looking for me. Sometimes I see women on the street with flyers and wonder if you sent them. I want to run to them, but I'm scared. I don't know how to come home. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. Love, Lynn." Asterisk. The second was shorter, darker. Asterisk, "Some nights I dream I'm back in my room. I can hear you humming, smell dinner on the stove. I wish I'd stayed. I know I've made it impossible for you to forgive me, but I love you, always." Asterisk. The last was dated only weeks before her death. Tear-stained, ink smudged. Asterisk, "Mom, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Please don't blame yourself. None of this was your fault. You were the best mom you could be. I was just lost. I hope you remember the good parts, the laughter, the road trips, the way you held me when I was sick. I want you to live. I want you to forgive yourself. Remember, I was always your daughter, and you were always my home." Asterisk. I pressed the letters to my chest, sobbing in her empty room, grieving not just the daughter I lost, but the love that endured, stubborn, bright, unbreakable. Later, I placed her letters with mine in a small wooden box. A conversation between a mother and daughter, carried across years of distance, stitched together with words never spoken aloud. That night, for the first time since Lynn died, I dreamed of her. Not as she'd been at the end, frail and broken, but as the little girl racing through the yard, hair wild in the wind, laughter spilling into the sky. When I woke, the grief was still there, but so was something else. A thread of hope. A reminder that love, no matter how battered, doesn't die. Grief doesn't fade, transforms.
Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.